So last time we wrapped our headers. It didn't go exactly as I had planned. I did follow the basics and I had never done it before, but what I ran into was really tight clearances and some pretty good opposing angles that caused me not to be able to wrap it how I wanted to. Functionally, I think it's fine and I think it'll protect the bay from heat, so it's okay, we're gonna move on. Next up, we're gonna prep the engine bay to put the headers in. So there's some intake accessories, some like air intake side stuff that we need to pull off. We're gonna get everything we can out of the way to start breaking the hardware for the head studs loose and see if we can get that stuff completely off. I'm definitely gonna be using some penetrating lube. I may need to use some heat. I've got propane and I can get some nap gas if I need it. I prefer not to, it's a pretty tight space, but we'll take a look and do the best we can. If we can get the hardware loose, perfect. We'll disconnect the exhaust from the bottom once all the hardware is loose, pull the entire piece off, and put the new header on. To actually completely mate up the system, we'll have to cut the exhaust and do some welding. There's a separate piece that comes with that. So specifically, this side mates up with the bottom of the new header, and this side will be welded onto the existing exhaust where we cut it. I'm gonna take that part over to my best friend's shop. They'll be able to clean it up and do a quick weld. I don't have welding equipment here. I don't have the space and I haven't learned how to do it yet. It is on my list, definitely something that's gonna get done. So let's get started, taking some of this accessory stuff off. If we can get the hardware loose, perfect. We'll disconnect the exhaust from the bottom once all the hardware is loose, pull the entire piece off, and put the new header on. To actually completely mate up the system, we'll have to cut the exhaust and do some welding. There's a separate piece that comes with that. So specifically, this side mates up with the bottom of the new header, and this side will be welded onto the existing exhaust where we cut it. I'm gonna take that part over to my best friend's shop. They'll be able to clean it up and do a quick weld. I don't have welding equipment here. I don't have the space and I haven't learned how to do it yet. It is on my list, definitely something that's gonna get done. So let's get started, taking some of this accessory stuff off. All right, so we're gonna use a piece of gear from one of my favorite channels. It was a birthday gift from a friend, but it's gonna protect the fender while we get this work done and while I'm pulling stuff apart. I'm also gonna go over and disconnect the battery. We're not working with any electronics really here, but there's no need for me to have it connected right now. It'll just be safer that way. So these first three nuts came fine. One of these nuts down here snapped with the stud, which I think I could actually replace, drill out and replace with a nut and bolt if I need to go back to stock. So not ideal, but it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. But I can start to see the exhaust manifold back here, so we're getting there. There's two bolts on each side, so I gotta go around and finish this up. So you'll see me really digging in here to get to these last bolts underneath. Hopefully no more snaps, we'll see how it goes. And a snap on that as well. That's all right. Success! We have the front heat shield that was feeding warm exhaust gas back into the EGR and the EGR valve off. So we're gonna keep working towards getting this header itself, this exhaust manifold off. right. That's one bolt from the header, which is actually a huge win. I was warned that I probably wouldn't be able to get any of these off without a ton of heat. So that was just kind of a tester one. They probably won't all be that easy. Also, side note, I am going to be putting on a mask to do this. I don't know what's in this heat wrap here, but that they used to use asbestos for a lot of stuff. So making me a little bit nervous. I'm going to use a mask and get some ventilation going in here for the rest of these.
Yeah.
That is it. And you'll see, this is why I'm still wearing a mask right here. Some of that material fell and I don't know what's in it. So I'm trying to be safe and keep myself as protected as I can. But that's it, baby. Woo! Now you can see right here the factory header. And you're also gonna be able to see basically the lack of flow here, right? It's just kind of one cast manifold with smaller inlets than the inlets we have here. So if I grab the aftermarket header, what you'll see is a little bit cleaner design. So a little bit bigger holes, a little bit nicer construction, slightly longer with a different bend design. So you'll see it's a little bit longer than factory, so it's going to give me a little bit higher power rev range setup. So I'm looking forward to using these in place of that.
Alright, so update, I ended up changing up what I was going to do and I pulled all of the head studs except for one out. This one's being a little bit stubborn. I've soaked it a bit in some penetrating lube. I've added a little bit of heat and tried to back it off using 2 nuts. The problem I'm running into is these studs. So you can see they're really short, they're like that big. So as I was trying to back this, basically the 2 nuts against each other out, the back nut was just ruining the threads. The front nut is only on maybe 2 or 3 threads. So that nut wasn't actually rotating, it was just like pulling the threads off of the stud itself. So what I'm gonna have to do is the shop that I go to, they're gonna be doing the welding for me for the collector. I'm just gonna have them weld a nut on. They can use higher heat, they have a hotter torch than I do. I only have propane. They have, I can't recall what it is, but they should be able to heat it up much better and back this stuff off. So the next plan after they back that off, well, in order to get it to the garage to do that, I actually need to cut the factory exhaust. So when the studs get here tomorrow, I can slide the new header over the factory exhaust. I'm just gonna exhaust wrap it together. It's gonna be loud as hell, but it'll be enough to get it to the shop. And then, yeah, just install everything. So today what we need to do is, we need to chase the threads back into this one hole. I mentioned when I was taking that head stud out, it kind of gacked the threads. I probably took it at a little bit of an angle. I should have been a little bit more careful, but that's okay. I have a tap and die set. And then I need to also cut this exhaust right here, like I was just talking about, so the header can slide over it. I just mocked it up and cut it. I went a little bit higher because I'm hoping it'll slide over basically where the collector is. If that doesn't work, if it's still too high, I can cut a little bit more and a little bit more until I get it to a reasonable spot. So I'm probably gonna start with the cutting, then we'll tap this bolt hole here, the hole for the stud, and we should be ready to put those head studs in tomorrow when they arrive. So let's get moving. Quick test fit. Just slide that on where I cut. I'm just trying to go really deep. Looks like it'll just fit over, which this is gonna be perfect. Perfect for what I need to do. It's gonna be loud as hell, but at least it'll catch some of the sound. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. All right, so our new head studs came in. You'll see there's the back side, which looks to be the same length as the original head studs. Or exhaust studs, excuse me. And then the longer side is the new side for the exhaust manifold. So these get tightened into the head at 10 foot-pounds, and then we're going to torque the nuts for the exhaust down to 33 foot-pounds, and then we'll recheck them in 100 miles. So we're gonna get started threading these guys in, and hopefully be done shortly. There you go. We have all of the new exhaust studs, except for the one I can't release, in. I don't see an issue with installation because of that. I'm just going to use old hardware on this one, the new hardware to spec up here, and we should be okay to kind of clamp this together. I think I'm going to need to take a little bit more off of our exhaust pipe here. I bought a cutoff wheel to do that, so do a quick trim, test fit everything, put the gasket in there, and yeah, see if we can get started and out of the bay. All right, headers are actually in. Test fit in. I trimmed the pipe. I didn't record that because I've never used an angle grinder, and I did everything the directions said not to do, because getting an angle grinder to fit in between the block and the steering to get to the exhaust where I needed it to was super sketchy. So I don't recommend doing anything I did for that, so I just left it out. Now I'm gonna put the 15 mil nuts on and secure them down to 33 foot-pounds for our exhaust, and we'll be pretty much ready to try and start her up. So that is the headers installed. I need to go back and button some of this up. I also have a nice little dress piece to hold these plug wires, and once that's all set up, I'll check the oil, put air in the tires, and we'll see if she runs. All right, so that is the headers finished. We uninstalled the existing headers. We wrapped the new headers before we installed them. We removed the existing exhaust studs, which I wasn't planning on doing, but we got new ones from LC Engineering, which are awesome. And then we installed the headers themselves. We cut the exhaust, all that stuff that we needed to do to get that in there and fit. And now I just had it towed off to be welded together. So the collector at the bottom of the headers has to be welded on to where I cut off the pipe. You heard me start it. My plan was to originally drive it out there, but it sounded like a B-52 bomber, so I'm not gonna do that. So that's everything wrapped for the headers. I think next up we're either gonna start working interior stuff, or we'll take a look at starting the side draft carbs, depending on when I get to that stuff. So tune back in, and thanks for watching.
As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It would really help me out. Tune in next time as we work on the Celica.